Welcome everyone to the next game on my phone. Next, here is PBS Party. Now, before I get started with PBS Party, one of the things I do want to show you here, by going back to the other game here, PBS Parents Play Learn. Basically, if you look on the top left-hand corner of the screen, there's basically the PBS Kids app, which basically shows 5 games. By going to the More Apps, it shows like the other games here. Oh, hold on. Sorry, my phone dropped. Sorry about that. Let me move it closer here. Yeah, there's like 5 games on my... that I see right here. Which I will do. Like we got Daniel Tiger's Storybooks, Wildcat's Rescue Run, Molly of Den Al, Super Y, Let's Read Pack, and the other one which is PBS for Parents Play Learn Science, which I will do those games, but the one I'm going to do is basically the PBS Kids Party. So I'm going to go back in the meantime. I'm sorry I had to see my phone drop off the what's underneath. I do apologize for that. Here is PBS Party. Just gotta wait while the screen's loading. Now, basically there's 2 options here. There's the play using the touch, which is your finger, and the other which is basically the Moff Band. Now, excuse me, by basically going to the bottoms of the screen here, which is about Moff, this basically shows the instructions on how to use the Moff Band and how it works. Here you can pause and read the words off to yourself to know what there is to know about the Moff Band. And there's the website, which is Amazon.com, to buy the Moff Band. Just hang on a second just before I get started with this game here. And like once you're done reading, just tap the X button on the top right hand corner of the screen to go back when you're finished. Just hang on for a minute. I'm going to go back. Now, basically by going to the I here on the bottom left-hand corner screen, basically shows the info button. This is everything to know about the PBS Kids Party. This I'm going to show very quickly. You can pause and read the words off to yourself, what there is here. I'll go slow so that way you can like read what there is. I'll try not to go too fast. Like once you're done, press the X button on top right hand corner of the screen to exit. Just hang on here. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down right now. And then there's the other options, which is help and the tips button. For help, this is basically about instructions on how to use the Moff Band. And of course, the Moff Band syncs in. And there's basically the steps on how to use the Moff Band. Here's like step 1, 2, 3. You can pause to read these words off to yourself. And there's the last 2 steps, which is 4 and 5. And there's also like for trouble connecting, then there's like the website for it, on how you can contact the Moff mobile. Just want to make sure the volume's up all the way. And tips, which is basically about the games. There are 4 games, and you can play them in any order, doesn't matter. There's the first one, which is dance. One of them is basically freeze dance. There's the other one, which is sounds. One of the things when it comes to partying, especially when it comes to party blowers, or what a lot of people like to call noisemakers. There's the Piñata. That's really fun, especially at parties. The Piñata game. One of the things that does become kind of hard about the Piñata is basically where you have to wear the blindfold while trying to hit the Piñata, and for the candy to fall out. And there's the last one, which is numbers. And like once I'm done going through this, we'll get to play these games. Also, there's like some quick. Make sure I show this screen here just before I play. Before I start playing. Also, there's like some quick tip ideas to play. Now, there's also the More Apps button too. That's basically the last of the instructions. Now, basically, if I go into the More Apps button here, to view the apps, you basically gotta move these shapes that you see right here on the screen, like what is shown on the screen, like the triangle, circle, and triangle, circle, square, basically to whether the top right or the bottom right, top left or bottom left, in order to view the apps. But you never know how many times you're gonna have to keep dragging the shapes here. It's kind of like trying to, almost like trying to like crack a code for what there is. You have to make sure that the shapes go right off to the sides of the screen, like where you see the black bars. But a lot of you probably don't know is like how many times how many shapes we have to drag off the screen before we view the other apps. Now I would go on and on forever, but I'm just gonna get to the games in the meantime. I'll just do this last one, and then we'll get right to the games. Without further ado, let's play. Now, if you have the Moff Band, you basically have to select the play using Moff Band. But if you don't have the Moff Band, just the other option is basically using the finger, which is play using touch. Without further ado, let's play. I'm sorry it took longer, but we're gonna get to the games right now. Let's get started.
PBS Kids Party.
Now, basically, what's on the bottom right-hand corner screen is basically the same as before. There's also this other one, which is the gear that shows the player settings. But I'm gonna go back in the meantime.
PBS Kids Party.
More Apps is basically the same as before. You have to drag the shapes off the screen. There's the back button to go back. And here are the 4 games that we're gonna choose: Pinata, Sounds, Numbers, and Dance. And these games you can play them in any order, it doesn't matter. Just hang on here before I continue. Here's the first one, which is Piñata. And this basically shows the instructions on how to play the game. Now to go back, you basically have to tap the arrow on the bottom, or the top left-hand corner of the screen to go back. And there's the party, which is basically how to play a game. In fact, we're going to do the Piñata in the next part. I'll see you then. I know I haven't done very much for this walkthrough, but we're going to start Piñata next part. So that's the end of this video. I'll see you next part for the first game.